Who is this guy?
He is much more impressive than the Hedgehog I fought previously.
Dude, I'm standing right here. Now come on! You can't take us all at once. Okay, he took us all at once.
We interrupt this program to bring you...
All right, everybody, my name is Kevin.
And my name is John.
And we are the Real Movie Guys, and welcome back to another episode of The Real Review, the series where we review and discuss all your favorite movies. On today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails reunite against a powerful new adversary, Shadow, a mysterious villain with the powers unlike anything they've faced before. With their abilities outmatched, Team Sonic must seek out an unlikely alliance. John, the Curious Case of Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie. What an adventure from literally inception phase to where we are now. Can you literally think of any other movie series that has done this? I personally can't at all. Just from the decisions that were made to fan feedback to what we have now, which is, I would say, probably one of the best dedicated fan-based movies ever created and put to screen. This is made for the fans and other audiences, which we'll talk about. But yep. Dude, what do we have here? Seriously, with these Sonic the Hedgehog movies?
Well, like you mentioned, I think a lot of what we have is based on fan feedback and the producers and writers of this movie taking into account what the fans would like to see, which is largely, and I did enjoy this, so this isn't a negative critique, right, references to Sonic games, Sonic lore, and then a lot of references to things outside of the Sonic universe that people who are our age, that had our interests, right, who grew up playing Sonic, would enjoy: anime, manga, games, a lot of stuff outside of Sonic that I thought was really fun to see. Kind of like a Deadpool for the younger audience.
Yeah, and I feel like that is the target for this movie, right? It's for that younger audience. It's actually you would argue it is a good family film because there is something kind of for everybody in this movie. Maybe not the super older generation's gonna maybe lose something out on this, but literally you said,
a little overstimulating.
Yeah, our age bringing our kids to this movie to see this. This is the demographic for this movie, and it's absolutely perfect in that regard. But just the brief evolution of this movie, where Sonic was so ugly and hideous when they announced this movie that fan backlash literally caused them to go in and change it because they were worried that no one was going to see the movie. They changed it. The fans came in. They loved it. They fixed the script. We talked about it. Was actually one of the first videos we actually did on this channel was the Sonic the Hedgehog review, and I absolutely loved that movie. I thought it was fantastic. I had a great time. Ironically, we never got around to reviewing Sonic 2, but the evolution from Sonic 1 to 2 is they said, all right, we're listening to fan feedback. They slightly cut out some of the human characters. There was still, I felt too much of that in that movie. There was a lot of weird gags. There was a side story with Sonic, James Marsden and his wife had to go to a wedding, and there was this whole long drawn out side story with the human characters, and it just didn't go over well. And I remember the fans saying the same thing, why is this in a Sonic movie? We just want Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles at that point fighting Eggman and, having some of the human characters around. And we get to where we are now after the Knuckles TV show, and Sonic 3, again, listen to that feedback, because this movie, I think, found the appropriate balance for these movies, right? Because I feel that's always been a staple whenever we're adapting, either it's a comic book or anything with animated characters or characters who aren't there. They tend to focus a lot on the human characters, whether it's a budget budget reason or it's just a reason for them to tell the story maybe a little bit easier in their opinion, not to turn the adults off. But I think this movie understands it, John. I think they actually said the people are here for Sonic, Knuckles, Tails, Shadow, Eggman to an extent. We'll keep the other characters in to progress the story, but that's not what they're here for. Right. I feel they finally understood that message that people were trying to give them.
And I think just the way that the movie plays out and the way that it moves along is very brisk.
Yeah.
I think they don't linger on anything. They don't stay in one location too long. Any scene that has to happen to move the plot along, they show you what they need to show you, and on to the next one. And I think even if you weren't a large Sonic fan, even if you were dragged there by your family, I think you could at least enjoy that they're always showing you something new, something vibrant, something visually interesting. And you know, I agree with you that people are there for Sonic and to a lesser degree Dr. Robotnik, but I think to a large degree people would be there for Jim Carrey, separate from the Robotnik character, just kind of seemingly allowed to do whatever he wants, do his thing, right?
Did you feel it was like very unhinged, like Jim Carrey? Like he just kind of was able to just like, though they gave him whatever money he wanted and just said, here, just do whatever you want. We don't really care. Be as crazy, be as loony, whatever idea you have. He actually plays, for people in this movie, he plays dual roles in this movie. This isn't a spoiler, and I'm sorry if you're, we're going to be talking a little bit about spoilers in Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Sorry, it's just going to be what it is. I think, he plays his grandfather in this movie, and I'm personally, I think I'm harmed by like dual roles in movies. I don't know if it was like Eddie Murphy doing the Nutty Professor over the years, where I always have like a negative connotation initially when I hear an actor like, oh, they're going to do dual roles. Oh, here we go. Jim Carrey, if anyone could do it, I think he did it, and he pulled it off pretty successfully. It did get a little bit too much, maybe at times. Would you agree with that? Was it maybe went a little too far here?
I'd agree, but I also think that the movie explicitly acknowledges that this is like a movie with the same actor playing two characters.
Yes,
it knows,
right?
We get it. Maybe some people this isn't their type of thing, but just enjoy. If you like Jim Carrey, just enjoy two of them. And very often two of them at once.
Right, and I think that's maybe the biggest compliment I can give this movie is this is literally a Saturday morning cartoon from like our childhood brought to life. That's exactly, and if you're into that, that's what this movie's going to be for you, because that's exactly what it is. It understood the assignment, and it actually pulls it off pretty successfully. We were talking a little bit earlier off the call about the target audience for this movie, and I did say like this is a family movie. Tonally, this movie's very interesting as well, because Shadow's backstory, incredibly dark for the uninformed, where people are dying, and then you have like the next scene where Robotnik is like joking with his grandfather and they're having like these back and forths. Did you feel like a tonal flip-flop at times with some of the movie? I do think they balanced it well, but what do you think?
I think that Sonic, if you're comparing it to the Super Mario movie, right, and the Super Mario franchise, has always tried to be the slightly edgier one, and I think that Shadow is the epitome of that. And I think that yes, and I think that to give his character something behind that persona, I think it was appropriate to have some darker moments and then back into the action again. So I do see what you're saying. Definitely, there were some tonal shifts, but I think when you're trying to show the contrast between the Sonic team, right, and their new kind of mysterious, dark, brooding, enemy for a time, that because of course they always become friends in the end.
You have to, right?
I think that it was appropriate, and I think that it's good that they gave a little bit of background to that character.
Yeah, so and the one thing I do appreciate in this movie is it's an issue I've had with like the modern Marvel superhero trend that we've had recently, where everyone is Star-Lord or everyone is Tony Stark, right? So the constant that we've had in these movies is there'll be a serious moment. There'll be like a heartfelt, serious moment, and then suddenly, bam, undercut with a joke. I hate that so much. It was fine the first couple times when we were doing it. It's fine if you have one character doing it, but when every single character's doing it in your movie, I cannot stand it. It drives me absolutely nuts, and it makes me turned off to the whole thing. I'll give Sonic 3 a lot of credit for the fact it does not do that. And there was a couple scenes in particular I was surprised where I think it was like the plan when you finally find out like what Gerald Robotnik's whole plan is, where he's going to destroy the Earth. And I was waiting for like Shadow to come in and just make like a weird quip or some kind of joke when he was talking, and suddenly it lets it breathe. And I'm like, oh my God, did we let a scene with emotion actually breathe for 2 seconds? And the whole movie's kind of like that. There wasn't really a lot of quipping. I mean, there are quips from like Sonic and stuff like that.
Sure.
But not undercutting the story or some of the emotion that they're actually trying to do in this hybrid children's fan movie, which I think is actually very admirable, you know?
Right. And there are things that, because this movie is trying to serve multiple audiences, like the millennial nerd and also the children that are going to be going to this movie, there are some moments that, to me, I thought, do I need him to be calling Robotnik again or anything like that? Or do I need to see the Robotniks dancing for a full 2 minutes? But that's the stuff that's there for the kids.
Right.
And I can enjoy Shadow pulling out his handgun and doing the Kaneda slide up the side of the Tokyo Tower. Yeah. I get my fan service, and everybody can kind of take something from it, right?
Right, and that's like the phenomenal ability about this movie. I think it really is that there is something literally for everyone, and you know, again, like you said, Shadow's portrayal in this movie I thought was really fun. He's not just a bad Sonic, right? He actually is like his own character, and they do their best job to solidify that. And you know, the tension and the actions there. The action scenes really popped for me in this movie. You know, there was the chase scene in the city earlier with Shadow and Sonic, which I thought was incredibly well done. Again, it's CGI, so it is what it is. I mean, they're not going to be real hedgehogs running in a city, but it was well done. I thought the choreography, everything was in frame. It was actually very exciting to see. I think they just really understood the assignment, and not so much, like you said, also the fans of this series, there were jokes in there too about things that they kind of took from the series. Like I said earlier, like Sonic 2, I thought it was Rachel and Randall were the people that were getting married. That was James Marsden's wife's sister and brother-in-law, and everyone knew we didn't like them in the second movie, and they actually are in the movie for like a hot second as like a quick joke, and then they're gone like that. And I thought that was absolutely phenomenal. Like, yeah, we're not going to do this. Oh, psych. You thought they were going to be in the movie. You could tell they were just messing around with people.
Sure. But so much of the movie is
like that.
Give you something, you like it. Maybe it's not for you. Move it along.
Right.
And I can appreciate that.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit just about some quick fan casting. Obviously, Jim Carrey is like what holds a lot of this movie's like big humor together, and he's on fire. He hasn't missed a beat. We can all say that. He actually has some real fun jokes with Lee Madjob. I'm not sure how you say his name. He plays Agent Stone, his assistant. I thought that was funny. I was cracking up the part where he like rips his shirt off and he's like, I need this extra fabric. Here you go. And then throughout the movie, from a lot of the earlier movie, he's not wearing a shirt underneath his jacket. He just has like his bare chest out. Again, it's like little subtle jokes like that I find absolutely
You need
phenomenal.
the straight man to the Robotnik duo there.
Right.
And he was very good in that role.
And it's interesting because Robotnik actually does kind of have like a send-off almost in this movie, which I mean, they already announced Sonic 4, I think before this movie even like the first day of it grossing, because it was a phenomenal hit. I don't know if he's going to come back. I can't see Jim Carrey not coming back in some capacity. I think he needs the money from what I've heard, especially like he was like in like some financial ruin, but not even that. He's actually doing a great job in these movies, so why not keep it going? You know?
And it seems as though they're letting him act how he wants to act, right? And if you get the opportunity to be paid well for doing what you do well in the way that you would want to do it, I don't see any reason to stop from my perspective.
Yeah, and I don't mind some of that off-the-wall comedy because we haven't really gotten that in quite a long time. I think comedy is one of the more genres which suffered over the years, especially in this, the film industry. We've been very afraid to put things out, and I'm not even saying just raunchy comedy or anything like that. I'm just saying like comedy's just been so tame and less wacky, I guess I would say. And it's nice to see Jim Carrey still having fun. The Gerald Robotnik and Robotnik dance scene through the lasers or whatever that was. I don't know if I needed that, but I think I did after I watched it. It was absolutely hilarious.
And I'm glad that it hit for you.
It did.
It gave me a little bit of Peach's song vibes from Super Mario Brothers, which I wasn't a huge fan of, but I understand.
Really? I did not know
Yeah,
that.
I
See, you
did
learn
not
something new
like.
every day. Oh,
It,
man.
it's things like that go on for a long time. I understand that they're entertaining for some people and not really for me, but enjoyable.
Yeah, and I guess maybe in a bubble, it's more funny than watching it in the movie. I think just like watching that out of context, and again, it probably did go on too long, but hey, I had a good time with it, so I'm not going to knock it too much. I'll talk about one character. Kristen Ritter's in this movie. Why was she in this movie? She was in there for like a holy hell of 2 seconds. I feel like she was the most
didn't get to do a lot of I didn't get to do anything really comedic. Didn't really get to have fun with it.
No, I was ashamed.
She was there.
I guess she's I guess she's a successor to like the gun organization that they're going to be building. So I guess there'll be a sequel. Maybe we'll see more of her. It's just weird. I feel like this movie always knows what it does with its cast, and to see someone like Kristen Ritter, who is a very known actress and someone I think can bring something fun to this, barely in it. Like it's just like, oh, okay, hi Kristen Ritter, bye Kristen Ritter.
But like you're saying, just the end of every Sonic movie tends to introduce the next Sonic movie, and you kind of have an idea of what's coming next. Like you said, it could just be planting a seed of something that'll grow into something in number 4, which has already been confirmed with a date.
Which that brings me into some of the other. So the fan casting in this series has always been it's hit the mark twice in a row now. So the first one was Knuckles, which the fans wanted. Idris Elba was like a big internet thing, like, oh, Idris Elba's Knuckles, Idris Elba's Knuckles. They got him. He did it. I can't think of anyone else that would be Knuckles at this point. I think he's absolutely phenomenal, great, funny, hits the mark. He's got perfect comedic timing. The internet struck again. It said, as soon as they announced, Sonic 3, they said, Keanu Reeves' Shadow. Keanu Reeves' Shadow. In my mind, I'm like, I don't know if they're going to get Keanu Reeves to do this. I know he's out there and he does a lot of fun projects. The man was in a video game, for Christ's sakes. I can't really see him not doing something like this. They got Keanu Reeves. And you know what? Perfect Shadow. Again, another character. I don't think I can separate the two now, right?
Yeah, and, we were talking before, they know that they're going to do well on these movies.
Yeah.
So why not, when you're investing in your cast, do what the fans want you to do, spend the money, hire the people that the fans want you to hire, and do it, because you're going to get your money back and have fun with it.
Right, and I think, Keanu Reeves, as much as he can, he brings this really emo-esque feel to Shadow the Hedgehog. He really goes in deep with those lines, man. Like, I'm sulking and I'm upset. It was good. He's great. It really is. He is Shadow the Hedgehog, and they did a great job. Other character which I thought was funny was Adam Pally, who was in. You didn't watch the Knuckles show, but I
did not watch Knuckles.
He was in a lot of the Knuckles TV show. So Paramount put that on Paramount Plus, and it's one of those things you have to accept, right? It's a TV show budget, which these movies make a lot of money. It's a TV show. There's different investments, different things you can do. Adam Pally was kind of the main character as Wade in that show, and Knuckles was kind of the side character in his own show for a while. The fans didn't enjoy that. So again, I think listening to the feedback, they said, all right, well, we're not going to really put Adam Pally in this movie. He was in there for like a hot second and he was gone. Just acknowledged him and moved on,
That's a little reference. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So. And that's good. I think that is the right move, to be honest.
Yeah. They're responding to the feedback from their fans. They're giving them what they want. They're doing it in a way that non-fans will still enjoy the movie. You can't really critique that.
Yeah, it is. And it's so interesting to see. I can't stress it enough, the evolution of this series. It's funny how I can get exactly what I wanted and also surpass what I wanted at the same time. It's just a really fun ride, and I think Sonic the Hedgehog is going to be for a lot of different people. I think fans will enjoy it. I think children will enjoy it. Families will enjoy it. If you don't take it too seriously, it really is a great movie. I think it is a good brisk movie, and with all that being said, I think we talked enough about Sonic. Let's go into our final scores.
Sure.
I'm going to give Sonic the Hedgehog 3 an 8.9 out of 10.
But nobody's been here for years. I wonder if it's haunted.
Haunted? Nobody said anything about being haunted.
What's the matter? You afraid of ghosts?
Nothing scares an echidna warrior.
Yeah. Do you remember what happened last movie night?
There's no such thing as a friendly ghost.
It's a fun movie, you know, man. There's not much I can really say about it. If you're a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog, you're gonna love it. Even if you're not a fan of Sonic the Hedgehog, if you're just like the generation, you know, in their 30s and you just have kids and you're going to see a movie, you're gonna have a good time. There's a lot of jokes. There's a lot of jokes we didn't even talk about. There's a Detective Pikachu reference in the movie, which I thought was fun. Like stuff I'll geek out and nerd out over. The Chow Garden reference, if you played the video games, where they go to the Chow Garden, they have little chows. Like that's a reference from Sonic Adventure 2. I'm a huge Sonic fan, so I know this stuff. All right, it's great. The action's really there. Sonic and Shadow going Super Saiyan at the end of the movie with the video game score blazing in the background, fighting in space. Does it make sense? Absolutely not, but it's absolutely fun, and I can't think of a better way to enjoy this movie.
Yeah, and watching that scene, it's like, wow, this would have been a really exceptional CG Dragon Ball scene. You know, they really executed on it very well.
Did Sonic do Dragon Ball better than Dragon Ball? Uh-oh.
For a beautiful moment,
it did.
There was a chance that it did. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, as a Sonic enjoyer, but not a huge Sonic fan, I did also like the movie. It might not have served me in every way, and I might not have got every reference that somebody who's way more invested in the series would have got. Right. But I think I would still have to give this movie an 8.2 out of 10.
You always have a choice. Making the right one is never easy. One more thing I learned is that when you really screw something up, you can't fix it on your own.
I think that it is a very good family movie. I think it is a very good movie for people who grew up playing any video games, watching any cartoons, you know, enjoying that kind of thing. And even if you don't fit those criteria, you are never going to be bored during this movie, right? It always is moving on to the next thing, showing you something interesting.
Yeah, and that's important too. I mean, at a runtime of an hour and 50 minutes, I feel like it felt really fast. I didn't feel like I was bored at any moment really in this movie. I mean, maybe, like you said, the dance scene went on a little bit too long, and, you know, maybe, but other than that, I can't really think of anything else. Like you said, we just went from next set piece to the next set piece, kept the story moving. It's fine. It's a fine movie. It's really enjoyable. Again, I don't think you're going to regret watching it. Most importantly, though, what we want to know is in the comments below, what did you guys think of Sonic the Hedgehog 3? Did you love Shadow? What was your favorite moment from the movie? Did you dislike the movie? What do you think they can improve on in the future? Even if you want to get a little bit deeper, let's talk about some spoilers in the comments below. The end of the movie teases the future of the Sonic franchise, introducing yet another character. Who do you think should be fan casted as that character? That's what I'm curious about. I want to know what people are thinking, where we're leaning towards that. I'm just gonna say, even if it's a spoiler, Metal Sonic is absolutely awesome. So glad to see that. That made me pop real loud when I saw that scene. Again, it's super exciting. You know, as a fan of the video games and a fan of these movies, I think it's just a fun series, and it's glad to see Hollywood, somewhere in Hollywood, somebody is listening and having a good time. But all that being said, we are the Real Movie Guys. My name's Kevin. That's John. We'll see you guys in the next video.
If you guys like what you've seen here today, consider giving this video a like and leaving your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to stay up to date with everything Real Movie Guys related, make sure to hit that subscribe button and check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And don't forget, all you audio listeners at home, we are available on many podcasting platforms. Just search The Real Movie Guys, you should pop right up. Thank you again all so much for joining us on this episode of The Real Review. We are The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. Catch you next time.